These cognitive distortions fall in 15 different categories. There are a lot of overlaps with these, okay? So if you think like, oh, this sounds like the other one, it happens. Even till date, it happens with me also. There are a lot of things, they seem so similar in the way they are. But anyway, these are the cognitive distortions that we know as of now. First is filtering. So mental filtering, what is happening here? You can read it, it is there on the screen. It focuses on negative and ignoring the positive. So it is like the information that we are seeking, which we are absorbing, we are only filtering and taking in the negative information, and we are not focusing on the positives. So if I have to give you an example here, it would be like, say I gave an exam. I had prepared pretty well. I was very well prepared for that exam, and I could solve the complete paper very well, like amazingly well it was. By the time I came to the last question, the time was up, and the invigilator just snatched the paper out from my hand. After this incident, what is happening is I'm constantly thinking on, oh, that one question, I could have done it well. You know, it would have fetched me really good marks. I could have topped this exam. Now, what is happening here? You're filtering the information. You're looking for that one thing which did not go very well, but there were a lot of other answers which you have done very well on, a lot of questions which you have answered pretty well. So we are not paying attention to that. This is called mental filtering. Then we have catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is like going to the extreme. And the extreme means there is stepwise, there will be thoughts which goes to the extreme. Now, this extreme can be both ways. So it can be like just maximizing, as in just magnifying the problem, or minimizing the problem, okay, completely discounting the problem. Let's understand two examples here. Say magnifying, okay? Like I am working on an assignment at work. I make a slight mistake in the meeting when I'm presenting. That slight mistake, it took me by blow. Like, how could I just make this mistake? Now my boss is going to just go mad at me. He's going to maybe cancel my contract, my tenure. Probably they are just going to give me some the pink slip. They will throw me out of the organization. I'm going to lose my job. I will end up being on the road. I will be all bankrupt. Now, what is happening here? It is the extreme. And how did it go? It went in stepwise, so catastrophizing, as in you're going to the other extent, the other extreme. Now, let's look at the other side of it, okay? So it is about minimizing, discounting. Like a lot of, if I have to consider the current situation, the pandemic and the anxiety everywhere around, there are a lot of these people who are not really willing to wear masks. And they're like, nothing is going to happen. Like, I am all healthy. I'm all good. Nothing is going to happen. So they're not even washing their hands. They're like, good. I'm pretty good. Nothing is happening. Now, what is happening here? This is the other extreme, where you very well know, the regulations, you know the threats, you know the dangers, but at the same time, you're catastrophizing, you're discounting the validity of the situation. So this catastrophizing is a cognitive distortion which can go two ways. It can be magnifying, it could be minimizing. Polarized thinking, all or nothing. So it is like we call it as black and white thinking. Okay, so it's this or it is that. There's nothing in between the two. So we forget the fact there is a complex structure, a complexity in which we all survive, we strive. So here the thoughts are extreme, black or white. Okay, let me give you an example here. So a lot of these Hindi serials which talk about, if she can't cook, she is a bad wife. Okay, so if she's not having a child, she is a bad bahu, or statements like these. So this is like extreme of either this or that. So black or white, that is how we call it as polarized thinking. So you can either be this or you can be that. Then we have Heaven's reward fallacy. This is like, I personally feel this is very, apt in Indian context. So it is about expecting self-sacrifice to be rewarded. So it is like, giving up on something that I like to get something back as a reward. And a lot of times what happens is you do not really get whatever you're expecting, even though you are given up on things uh, if I have to give you an example, a lot of these people have this vrat or vrat is the wrong word. They have this thing of if I leave out on a particular sweet, this is an example, okay, if I leave out this sweet for say next 12 months, please Bhagwan, just give me this gift, I want to crack this exam, I want to crack this particular deal, I will leave out on all these pleasures of life, but give me this. Now what is this? This is heaven's reward fallacy. So it's a fallacy, it's a distortion. What happens most of the time? You do not get it back, and this leads you to feel it leaves you feeling unhappy, there is resentment. So all of those concepts of karma and everything that comes into place here, okay? So that's a cognitive distortion. Then we have control fallacies. Control fallacy is when you assume only others to blame. So, or you assume only, either you're blaming others or you're blaming yourself. So control fallacies is about you either blame others or you blame yourself for the issue. So even into the current scenario that we have with the corona thing, either say in context of a student, it could be like, my education is not going in right direction, either because the government is not doing anything about it, or maybe I shouldn't have taken that break last year. If I had cleared it last year itself, things would have been fine. So they are not paying attention to a lot of other variables which are playing a role. So it is the crucial part here is the virus, the corona, the outbreak of the pandemic, which none of us had predicted. So they are not looking at the situational cues. They are only blaming others or they are blaming themselves. So that's control fallacy. Then it is always being right. Here, the fallacy here is, or the distortion is that I always have to be right. So even though I know that there is a evidence which says that I'm wrong, but still I will not accept it because that is not acceptable. So being wrong is not acceptable. Now here, again, it can come from the core belief. All of this will come from the core belief, okay? You will have to understand that. But it is about, I always have to be right, irrespective of whether I have information supporting it or no, I am right, come what may. Okay. The next set of fallacies or the distortions, fallacy of fairness, where there is a constant assumption that life should be fair. And as we all know, life will not always be fair, right? We need to understand that. So every time we can't be expecting justice, we can't be experiencing things to go like, with all rules, regulation. It doesn't happen in today's time. Like it used to happen in Dwapar Yug, perhaps, but in Kali Yug, no, it doesn't happen that way. And this is something which we need to understand. But a lot of times, the ones who are, they are very rigid and they're very strictly abiding by this, that it has to be fair. Now, again, it becomes a cognitive distortion. It is like giving up on the understanding that things can't always be fair or just. There will be times when things will be going in the other way around. But sticking onto this cognitive distortion can give or have a lot of other repercussions. Okay. Then we have personalization, where you're always assuming things, you're projecting it onto yourself with personalization. So for instance, say I have to go for a meeting. I am late for the meeting. When I enter the boardroom, I see the two parties are already having an argument, and one of the parties just moves out and leaves, and the contract is cancelled. In this scenario, what will I do if I am having this cognitive distortion? I am going to say that, oh, I came late and so we have lost this contract. Now, I had no role to play with it, or me coming late had no role to play with it. But still, this is what I'm thinking. Then we have overgeneralization, that is, assumes a rule from one experience. So say I failed in one test this time. So now I'm going to assume that in everything that I'm going to do in my future, so it could be academics, it could be work, it could be relationship, I'm going to fail at everything. So that is overgeneralization. You are just generalizing things to everything. Hmm? Then is jumping to conclusions. So making assumption based on little evidence. So one of the examples that I gave you earlier, I go out in a market and say everyone is wearing mask. I'm also wearing a mask, and I see one of my friend and I say like hello, and she looks somewhere else. Now immediately I jump to conclusion she hates me. I always knew this. What is happening here? Probably she might not have seen me, or with the mask, probably she might not have recognized me, but still I am jumping to a conclusion that she doesn't like me, and I always knew it. Now, when this happens, this also includes a term that we use, mind reading. So a lot of, this again happens in a lot of these relationship issues where one of the partner is like so sure that I knew she's thinking in this way. Okay, so this is mind reading again. This also comes in this category of jumping to conclusions. Then we have emotional reasoning, where if I feel it, it must be true. So say, for instance, I feel that I'm looking not so beautiful right now. That means I am not beautiful, or say I am ugly. So trying to, say that whatever I'm feeling right now, that is it. That is what I am. So there comes a, it is a cognitive distortion now. Then we have blaming, assumes everyone else is at fault. So whatever is happening, they will find reasons to blame. This is how it happens. So I couldn't do well. This is a very common example. I couldn't do well in the exam because the exam paper was difficult. Probably they did not teach us very well this year, and that is how I couldn't perform well. And then we have fallacy of change, where you are expecting that the other one should change to match my requirements. So I would want to make changes to a schedule. Like I have a meeting, like say a social meeting, a social gathering, and the time doesn't suit me. And I say, no, 5 doesn't work. I think 6 should work for us. And now I'm expecting that it should work for everyone. I'm saying that everyone should come at 6, and perhaps not everyone will come there at 6, or it doesn't suit everyone. So what I am again believing in it, or what the thought here is, that everyone should be ready to change according to match my needs. Then we have global labeling. Now, what is global labeling? Extreme generalization. So there is, there is extreme, there is exaggeration. So for instance, there is this lady who keeps her child with a babysitter when she goes to work. So I would say that, oh, this woman, she has abandoned the child. Now, this is an extreme statement. This is exaggeration of how the situation is. This is called global labeling. And then we have the shoulds. So someone who holds tight to personal rules and behavior, judges self and others if rules are broken. So it is always about, you should be doing this. So a lot of times, all these perfectionists, you will get to hear it from them. You should be doing this. You should be always on time. So they might not really look at the broader aspect, like say, this person is usually on time, but probably it was raining today, and so he or she came late. So they will not look at this. It is always about should.